It has never been more important to understand China, as that direction is going to have a global impact. China is changing the world. Who is changing China? As has often been the case in China's last 100 years of history and further back, it is the young generation who are leading that change, who are innovating, disrupting, risk-taking. I've been interested in that generation, my generation, since 2008, when I first came here to learn Chinese. And for the last 4 years, I've been following 6 individuals, writing about their lives in my book, Wish Lanterns. So who are these millennials who are changing China? This is Lucifer. That's the guy on the left, not the dog. Lucifer was born in 1989 on the outskirts of Shijiazhuang in Hebei province, not far from Beijing. His father sells tractor parts. His mother is a primary school maths teacher. And at the age of 15, Lucifer decided he's going to be an international superstar. His parents can't understand him, just as he is totally disconnected from his parents' experience of China. The same afternoon that this photo was taken, Lucifer asked me, Alec, what was the Cultural Revolution? It turned out that when that was covered briefly in school, he wasn't paying attention. The only 70s history he was interested in was the development of British punk. He came to Beijing, he formed a band, it won a competition. He went on reality TV a bunch of times, singing programs, dating reality shows, all pursuing his dream to become a rock star. Lucifer's generation is a generation of firsts. It's totally different to anything that came before, just as China is totally different. It's the first only child generation for those born in the early 80s. The first generation to come of age in a more resurgent, more confident, more outwards-looking China. It's the first net native generation, now the first mobile native generation, connected to each other, sharing things. Think for a moment, what's the period of years which you think defines a generation gap? Is it 20 years, 25, 15? In China, people talk of a generation gap every 3 years. This generation, Lucifer's generation, gets criticized a lot. Here are some of the words thrown at them. Brain dead, coddled, spoilt, little emperors, materialistic, nationalistic, apathetic, selfish, the me generation. There might be some truth to some of those, but these criticisms, which every generation makes of its successors, they don't capture the pressure that young Chinese are under, and they don't capture the range and scope of their ambitions, just how different those aspirations are. Lucifer's generation encompasses so many different people from all walks of life, each with their own dreams. There are 320 million young Chinese in mainland China in their teens and 20s. That's the same population as the USA. There's no single thing we can say about them, except that it's a generation defined by its diversity. So much so that there's a host of subcultures and so-called tribes that you can belong to, which gives us some insight into their challenges as well. So here are a few of these tribes. The Ants tribe are young college graduates eking out a living on the edge of cities. The Rat tribe are something similar, but they live underground in basement flats. The Moonlight tribe spend their monthly wages with each turn of the moon, and the Bite the Old tribe still live off mum and dad. The Rush tribe can barely take a moment to catch their breath, while the Crush tribe, this is my favorite, they take out their stress in supermarket aisles when no one else can see them, crushing packets of instant noodles. It's this noodle-crushing generation, who are China's future leaders in business and politics. I'm not saying that Lucifer's going to be on the Politburo, interesting as that would be. And I'm talking of an urban vanguard, whereas there are many millions of young Chinese in the countryside, in lower-tier cities, with far fewer opportunities. But for the whole generation, their values and their attitudes, whether it's from sex and dating to individual rights, the role of society, you name it, it's already changing China. The big question then is, what do they want? And that's also unanswerable. There's no single answer to that. But let's look at one more individual who's also in my book. This is Mia. She's Han Chinese. She was born in 1990 in Urumqi, Xinjiang. No one gave her any opportunities. She wasn't born with any particular privilege. But by dint of her own hard work, she's now in Shanghai, and she has her own fashion studio. I once asked Mia, "What's the 5-year plan?" She said, "I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't even have a 5-day plan." To her, the future is tomorrow. "I don't know what I want," she said, "but I know I really want it." China is changing so fast that there's no fixed plans. There's no roadmap. We can only be ready for whatever's coming next and hope that everyone else keeps up. Mia's generation and Lucifer's generation, they face intractable challenges and fierce competition, immense pressure from themselves, from their parents, from society. But in spending time with them, in writing about their stories, I came to realize that for those in this generation, for all of its diversity, they have one thing in common, which is a drive, an ambition, a determination to create a new future for themselves. And that's creating social progress at the bottom level, even if sometimes at the top level things don't seem so progressive. Each of these people is making a wish on their own lantern. And combined, those wishes have the power to be truly transformational. Thank you very much.